Good morning, Flexies. Chris Eryx. Welcome to Flex the Truth podcast, aka Baby Trump. Man, do I have a guest today. I've been talking about this gentleman and his wife for some time. We got to meet, and I told you I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in Godcidences. And not only is he starting to become a really good friend of mine, but I revered him in the sports world, and you'll see why. But a couple of things I want to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw the Paul Romero last night that aired. Paul just contacted me and said that he's got a whistleblower. So I will be speaking with him later today, and we will get that aired right away because he talked to the whistleblower, and the whistleblower said, "Okay, I'm ready to go." So I got to get that out. So I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned for that. Also, his wife, Oksana, I aired that. Tonight I'll be airing Gene Ho. Man, let me tell you something. He's more than Trump's photographer. Jim, wait till you see this interview. I mean, you're going to be blown away. So I'll have Gene Ho. Tomorrow I'll have Dan on the Fringe, and obviously my buddy Jim Dowd here. So guys, I want to introduce you a very good friend of mine, none other than Stanley Cup champion from New Jersey, NHL alumni, Mr. Jim Dowd. What's up,
Hey,
Jim?
hey, thanks for having me, man. Great to be on. Good to see your face, man.
NHL Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. Looking back on it, was amazing, especially growing up in New Jersey. So, yeah, it's sports are part of the family growing up. So, and to be able to win the Stanley Cup alone is amazing, but to do it with your hometown team is incredible.
Right. So guys, listen to this. Talk about, God putting a blessing on this man. The guy is from Jersey. He gets drafted by the Devils, right? Eighth
round.
Out
of high school. Yep, in 1987, right out of high school.
1987, eighth round, like 149, I think, somewhere around there, right? Yep. My brother would be so proud of me that I know this, right?
I got a pretty funny story about that too. So
yeah, and wins the Stanley Cup with the home team. Come on.
Yeah, you know what? Pretty funny story. So the Devils moved to New Jersey in 1982. I was 13 years old. So before that, we hated the Flyers, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm on that border because I'm from Brick, New Jersey, born and raised in Brick, New Jersey. First and only New Jersey native to do what I did and all that, blah, blah, blah. But we hated the Flyers growing up. I guess we were Rangers fans. Then the Devils moved there in 1982. I said, okay, great. We finally got a team we can root for. 5 years later, sitting there getting drafted by them. And the funny thing was, it was 1987, my senior year of high school. I committed to Lake Superior State University. That's where I went to college in November. So, got a scholarship there. And then my college coach calls me right before the draft, Coach Frank Angelo, who's an amazing human being, like a second father to me. He says, listen, Jimmy, you're probably going to get drafted. I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I said to myself, I never told anybody this till after the fact. I said to myself, the only team I didn't want to get drafted by was the Devils, because at the time there was nobody coming out of New Jersey. And I thought it was going to be a charity pick. They had 12 rounds in the draft back.
Right.
12. So I'll never forget, I get the call from Marshall Johnson, the director of player personnel, like 5:30. And he proceeds to tell me that they drafted me and it was in the 8th round. So I automatically was like, oh, great. It's not a charity pick. It's the 8th round. And then it was amazing though. Just again, growing up in New Jersey, just, playing hockey, baseball, football, every different sport. I never even thought about college hockey, let alone the pros. So it's been an amazing ride, and my entire journey has been incredible to lead me to where I am today. So, we'll get into all this here shortly, but that's a great story that I like to tell. The only team I didn't want to get drafted by was the Devils. I thought it was going to be a charity pick. Turns out 8th round out of 12. Hey, that's not a charity pick.
No.
Like if it was 12th round, I'd be like, oh, come on, guys. You just throw me in there.
Yeah, and look, it's Jim, it's like me, growing up as a little kid, I remember going on vacations with my Aunt May, and we went on a bus ride, and I was like, where are we? Like, there's nothing around here. We were in Western PA. We're up near Pittsburgh. We're like Allentown, not Allentown, Johnstown.
Johnstown,
I never want to live here. Never. Where'd I end up 24 years?
Yep.
Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the one thing that when you say, never, like I was like, I'm never going to be a W. That is so yuppie.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
yeah.
not me. I got long hair at the time. You know what I mean? Metrosexual. What I buy on my birthday, December 13th, BMW, right? So the things that we say we never ever want to do or that
Yeah,
we don't want, 9 times out of 10, because God has
happens.
such a great sense of humor, He lays
Yep, for
it on
sure.
us.
For sure.
So talk about, your upbringing, talk about how you even got into hockey. I mean, people don't even know anything about that, especially being in
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm one of 7 kids, 5 boys, 2 girls. I had a sister that passed away before I was born from spina bifida. But my mom and dad are from Livingston, New Jersey. And actually my father, how the family got into hockey was my father's the youngest of 11, 10 boys and 1 girl. He was born in 1929. They were all amazing athletes from Livingston, New Jersey, even my Aunt Mary. And he was he was a boxer, professional boxer. He was fighting out of Jacksonville, Florida. And I wasn't born yet. My brother Pete, Mike, Kim, Edie had passed away. My brother Brendan was born down in Jacksonville. My father was fighting out of Jacksonville, Florida. And they had the old Jacksonville Rockets in the old Atlantic Coast League way back in the day. You talk about slap shot. It was like worse than slap shot days. So that's how my brother Mike and Pete got into hockey. So then they moved back up to, Jersey, up in North Jersey. So the story goes, amazing story. Now listen to this, how this all happened. So we come back up. My father's driving with my oldest brother, Pete, looking for a place to live. They get off at exit 90, the Brick Township exit. They drive by Brick High School on Chambers Ridge Road, and not a 1/10 of a mile down the road is the Ocean Ice Palace. So my father says to my oldest brother, hey, they got a high school and a hockey rink right down the street from each other. Let's move to Brick, New Jersey. So that's how we ended up moving to Brick, New Jersey. And my mother and my sister took me skating for the first time ever when I was 3 years old. And, the rest is history. You just want to do what your older brothers do. Actually, my mom played hockey. My mom's 90 years old. She's still living. She played hockey. She was a tough cookie. That was back in the day when it was taboo for women to do any of that stuff.
Right.
But she was a great athlete too. And my sister skated a little bit, but we played every sport growing up.
And for people that don't know about Brick, New Jersey is not known for hockey. It's known for soccer. Brick Township, soccer tournaments. Me growing up, I played, Brick Township tournaments, also baseball, right? But they're really not known for hockey.
Like it was known for football, baseball, soccer right away, but then hockey sort of did take over once it got going. It was very good, but nationally, no, New Jersey wasn't a hotbed at all. You know what I mean? There's nobody coming out of there. So that's the hockey story. And I just became a rink rat. I mean, like I said, grew up one of 7 kids. The whole Irish Catholic thing, my oldest Pete, Mike, and Kim did all their communion and stuff. And then when stuff got crazy, my parents ended up getting divorced when I was going into 7th grade. So Brendan, myself, my brother John, we remember going to church with my father when we were younger. My mom, we didn't realize any of this. Told she was Protestant, so she never went. My dad would take us, and we weren't getting anything out of whatever. But then all the crap hits the fan. My parents get divorced. My dad moves to Toronto for a year. Me and my little brother go live with my mom in Long Branch, New Jersey.
Oh wow!
So it was a little crazy, a little hectic. My brother Brendan's back in Brick with my brother Pete. Imagine that nowadays, he'd have typhus all over you. But he was only a sophomore in high school. But my brother Pete took care of him. So I was a little warped my whole life. I remember cursing God as a kid. And it was crazy. The crazy part about our whole entire life is my parents are very good people, great people. They just alcoholism runs rampant. Thank God. They both quit. My dad quit drinking cold turkey my junior year of college. My mom quit drinking. My mom's still alive. She's 90. My dad passed away in 1986 from at 86 years old in 2016.
That's what
dementia and all that. But they both quit drinking and all that. But for some reason, we never missed our sporting events. Everything else in our life was just crazy and wacky and nuts. We didn't know any different. We got to all our sporting events. And the one good thing, because I'm always a guy that I see the positive in everything. Every single one of us, is crazy it was, and we had no money. When I tell you no money, nothing. Every single one of us graduated college. you know, so let that sink in, you know, so a lot of good stuff came out of it. And, you know, like I said, my parents were great people. The whole faith thing was just warped from day one, really, you know, and it's been quite a journey, you know, and I battled, you know, depression my whole life, but I white knuckled my way through it. You know, I never told anybody, but I remember since being a kid, you know, I would just, you know, I would be depressed for a couple of days, then get out of it, be depressed for a couple of weeks, get out of it. That lasted all the way up until I was 50 years old, till 2 years ago, you know, so the story really is amazing. And I tried everything, you know what I mean? I tried white knuckling my way through it first. I never took any prescriptions till I was like 47 years old, 48. I tried that for a little bit. That didn't work, you know, and thank God for my wife. So, you know, my personal family, my wife, we've been married, you know, now for, 25 years. You know, we have two boys, 21-year-old and an 18-year-old. And my wife was always we got the whole nutrition thing when we were 27, 28 years old. That's, we got into that. But my wife was always spiritual, trying to figure it out, you know, but thank God for my wife and a couple people that told me, Jim, just get a Bible, start reading it. You might as well try that. Nothing else has worked, you know? I said, well, where do you start? Just open it up and start reading it. And lo and behold, it'll start, you probably won't understand it, but eventually it'll all start to click. And lo and behold, for 2 straight years now, a little over 2 years, every morning I get up, I do my readings, and it's all starting to click. Like, it's pretty amazing how that works.
Talking every time I believe in coincidences, because Jim and I meeting was such a coincidence because I wasn't even supposed to speak there. And I ended up speaking in Gettysburg, and I knew something that God wanted me in Gettysburg. Like, I knew he wanted me in Gettysburg. And, I met Jim and his wonderful wife, Lisa. And, behind every good man is a great woman, right? And man, you meet Lisa and you just talk to Lisa for a couple of minutes. And, when they say good things come in small packages, because she's a little petite, but man, when she opens her mouth, you know what I mean? Whether she's talking about the Lord or whatever she's talking about, her words are so deliberate and powerful. I could see how, she was like the one that didn't bend. You know what I mean? Like, you'd go from depression, not to depression, in and out, kind of like how I was in my whole life, Jim. You and I talked about this. Look, I fought depression. My mom and dad didn't split, but they should have. They should have. You know what I mean? Like, that family, like, you're like, they're together. Like, I think, growing up and seeing how they were together. I mean, my dad was a professional drummer. I told you, played in Point Pleasant, And what was crazy is watching that growing up as a child, that really puts you in that depression mode, right? And so I fought depression. 17, I slit my wrist and, was in a coma for 3 weeks. So when you talk about you white knuckled it, what are you talking about for people out there? Because I know, look, Jim, I know right now I'm almost like trying to fight back the tears because I know how powerful this podcast is going to be. I know that there are people out there right now that are fighting depression. And I know that there are people out there that, man, I talked to 3 people in the last week, and I know that hearing it from me is one thing, but hearing it from somebody like you, what do you mean you white knuckled it through your childhood?
I mean, all the way up until I was 50 years old, I wouldn't tell anybody. Like I said, I would just get in these zones, and for whatever reason, it would just hit me out of the blue, and I'd wake up depressed, and the days would last forever. I didn't tell anybody, and then eventually it would subside, and because the bottom line is this: looking back on everything, something happened to me when I was 10 years old, from and you can figure out what happened, without saying what happened. And I kept it inside till I was 50 years old. And my wife has been a trooper. And anybody who really, truly knew me knew, nobody knew about what happened, but they truly knew that I was go up and down. Because, if I would be quiet, wouldn't call anybody. Because I'm the type of guy, I'm a people pleaser, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I like being around people and all that. but for whatever reason, might have been, like I said, my parents never abused me or anything like that. But the way we grew up, I guess, might have had something to do with it, and moving around all the time. I mean, we lived in 12 different houses in Brick alone, moving up to Long Branch for a year. I mean, it was just, but I truly believe that's why I was so good in sports, because that's what I focused all my energy on. But what I mean by white knuckling my way out, I mean, I remember playing in the NHL 17 years. I wake up, I go down to the rink, I just be depressed, and I think the whole team's looking at me like I'm terrible, this and that. And then I'd get out of it. And when I would get out of it, I'd be like, well, what a jerk I was to think that, my teammates think I'm not good. Like, it's bizarre. And I never told anybody. And then when I retired, that's when it really, we went through a couple ups and downs, my wife, and then finally, I went and tried to talk to a couple people, this and that. And I'll never forget, I was talking to this one guy out by Princeton, and then we started doing research on the whole psychiatry thing. Don't get me started on that. And I told this one guy, I'll never forget. So I stopped going to this guy, and I didn't tell my wife for a couple months. And then when I told her why, she understood. I had just started, getting into the Bible, and I told the guy I was getting into it. The guy told me not to read the Bible. Yeah. I was like, but it was starting to help me. And I'm like, I guess this guy's the wrong guy. And that's when I because I went through like 4 or 5 different people, and I never blamed anybody for anything, any problem in my life. Even these guys that I went to talk to, 4 or 5, I think there was 4 or 5 different ones. I never blamed it on them. I just wasn't getting anything out of it. Nothing, but in their defense, it wasn't until my wife and I, we went and saw somebody in New York City. And that's when it was like the end of the line, I guess. And I told the lady and my wife what happened to me when I was 10 years old. And looking back on it, I guess it was like a weight lifted off me. And the last 2.5 years have been amazing. I'm learning more and more about the Bible, faith, all that kind of stuff. Like, we're going on 19 months, my wife and I, no TV, no music, no sports, basically. We're watching our boys play hockey. Jimmy's at Penn State and Anthony's in the junior league in Chicago, but that's it. And it's been actually unbelievable. It's been incredible.
Because
and I gotta give my wife 100% credit, because she stuck with me and all that. And it's funny you say, my wife's family, mom and dad, my mother and father are still married. 53 years, 2 days ago. I think their anniversary was 2 days ago. 53 years, and I can almost guarantee it, if she had come from a divorced family like I did, we might have even been divorced. But it's amazing. And it's all this stuff has only made us stronger as a family unit. My wife and I, my 2 boys, my in-laws, everybody.
Yeah. And, I love that, number one, that you give all your glory and praise to, Jesus Christ, our Savior, because he's the ultimate healer. Like, nobody can heal us more so than him. And, I could relate to you, being, having my own reality show, having my own show on HGTV, being a Chippendale. I was afraid of rejection. And when I told people that 3 years ago, they were like, what? Like, my multi-level marketing company that we talked about, that I would talk in front of, top 5% of the company, nobody knew. My mentors didn't know. When
you can hide it, you can. That's the sad part, is you can hide depression.
You hide it, and what it does, Jim, or for me, what it did, it drove me. It drove me to be the best. It drove me to, achieve things that I knew I couldn't achieve. You know what I mean? But that drive inside of don't want to fail, don't want to screw up, right? Don't want to let people down, being a people pleaser, right? I got to be number one. I got to be number one. I got to be number one. I didn't even know what number 2 was. But I was afraid of rejection.
And going back to what you said there about, like, I tried everything basically. And I truly believe like that Jesus is the healer. Like, I literally tried everything. I mean, ask my wife. Like, it was like my whole entire life for basically almost 50 full years. In the last 2+ years, it's been unbelievable. Knock on wood, not one even close bout of depression. You know what I mean? And it all just started clicking. You know what I mean? And my wife never pushed it like, oh, you got to read this, you got to get this, got to get into that. You know, like we tried everything too. We tried. I mean, listen, we tried with our boys. We weren't sure what we were going to do with our boys, you know, but we did okay. So we said, let's okay, we'll do the whole Catholic Church thing. So we did the whole Catholic Church thing. I'm not going to name the church or anything like that, but the bottom line was our boys weren't getting anything out of CCD. And the bottom line is they took a pedophile priest out of there, brought one in, he got busted. We're like, whoa, what's going on here? And we just got away from that. And then my wife just kept researching, you know, and here we are today. And our journey's still going. And it really is amazing because this is what's working for me. This is what's working for me. Ask my wife, she'll tell you night and day from a couple of years ago. And it's been very liberating. It's been amazing, you know, and you know, it's just amazing when you just read.
What do you think would have happened had you found Christ while playing hockey?
That's one of those things. I don't know, because there was guys I played with, you know, and I never judged anybody. You know, I could hang out. I could hang out with anybody, any type of group. I can hang out with the guys that, you know, go out all night. I can hang out with the guys that go out once in a while. I can hang out with the guys that, you know, that I played with that were, you know, believers, all that stuff, you know, because my whole thing was a people pleaser, just lifting people up, you know. I want everyone to feel good, you know. I have no idea if I would have been better or I had to have been better. You know what I mean? If I would have found Jesus early on. It's just looking at it now, I definitely would. I remember being in college. I mean, we were the best team in the country. And if I wasn't feeling normal, I never drank a beer unless I was in a good mood. I wasn't one of those guys. I never once in my life drowned my sorrows and went and had beers. Like I'd go out with the guys, have some beers. But I remember even being in college, out of the blue, when I was the best player in the country, best player on the best team. And I just didn't feel like it. I said, guys, I'm not going out tonight, you know? And I just would sit in my room, you know? And it was just the most bizarre thing, you know, out of the blue. And here I am on the best team in the country. I mean, the worst we were ranked in my college career was 4th in the country. We won a national championship at Lake State, you know. I won a state high school championship, a national championship, Stanley Cup championship, every level, you know. But for whatever reason, looking back on that, you know, that's one good thing. A couple of things I laugh about it with my wife. I'm glad that I never got smoking cigarettes, you know, glad I never got strip joints, you know what I mean? And drowning my sorrows with, you know, booze or whatever. You know, if I was going to go out, have a good time, have a couple of drinks, listen to music, that's it. You know what I mean? But going back to what you just said is that Jesus really does heal. It's amazing because it's worked for me. That's what works for me, and I'm sticking with it.
And not only works for you, Jim, but I mean, it works for everybody. I mean, that's
if you give it a try. I believe if you do give it, because I was one of those guys. I cursed God as a kid. I remember being on a paper route when I was in 8th grade, snowing out, cursing God. I'm like, you know, seriously, you know. And looking back on all that, and then it was like a last resort. Like, give it a try and give it a legit try. And I told you, it probably took me 6-7 months of reading the Bible every morning, and it finally clicked, you know. And then you start listening to other things, and then you start remembering, you know, here, this and that, and it really is amazing.
What happened that day that you gave your life to the Lord? What was it?
Well, to be honest with you, I tried it a couple times, you know, and it didn't work. But then I truly believe it's, I guess, going back to the whole depression thing is, and when I told my wife and the one lady what had happened to me, it was like a burden off my shoulder. And then I just started really focusing on it, you know, and that's when it all clicked. Like, it's not like the first day that I gave my life to the Lord. It probably took me 3 or 4 different times, you know, which is the good news is, hey, you can start over again. Just keep starting over. Eventually, one day it's going to click if you really, truly stick with it.
Right.
It took me 3 or 4 times of giving my life to the Lord, you know, for finally to click. But, you know, I'm there, this journey, I'm moving forward every day. And every day, actually, ask my wife, like, I'm excited. There'd be days where I would sleep in a ton, you know what I mean? And all that. I have no problems getting up anymore. And again, no prescriptions, no nothing. You know what I mean? None of that stuff worked. I tried it for a little bit, you know what I mean? But none of it worked. Nothing. So it's as you could say, I'm a true believer.
I mean, I was just thinking that when it comes to true believer, I mean, you're definitely a testimonial to it because people, they say, well, I've prayed before and it doesn't work for me. And, I've done this before and just, it's not for me. The reason that it's not working is because there's still something inside of you that you're holding on to.
Yes. Yep.
Whether it be
I totally agree.
resentment, for me, it was resentment. I had resentment, and I had resentment towards people, towards my dad, towards my mom, So for me, I was studying the Lord, getting to know the Lord, like I told you and Lisa, in the last, year is when I just gave my life to the Lord, and boom, and it hit me because I didn't have any guilt. I didn't have any resentment. I learned how to love my neighbor, but more importantly, I learned how to love my haters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned to love my enemy. And
You know what? You can't have resentment. You gotta, the old saying, let bygones be bygones, it's because then the other side wins. You know what I mean? They win. Someone does you wrong, no big deal. Like, I got a bunch of stuff going on in the business world. I'm a very trustworthy person. You screw me once, no big deal. I'll just never do business with you again. I'm not, that's it. I'm done. Then I don't, then you're out of my life. That's okay. But a lot of people hold that resentment in, and I don't even know if I had a lot of resentment or anything. It was just the most bizarre thing because,
did you have guilt? A sense of guilt?
No, I didn't have guilt. No, it was just the weirdest thing. Like, I would literally wake up and one day I'm in the NHL on top of the world and just be totally depressed, but like I said, and it's amazing now that I'm done. I reconnected with some of the guys that I played against and with, and to realize, a lot of these guys, and you've seen it, you've been at the top of your profession. There's more than you think, Everybody's battling something mentally.
Yes.
Everybody is.
Yep.
Everybody is. And that's why you definitely need that. That's my belief now.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't before, but now it is, that everybody needs it, because it works. You said, we just talked about it. You just keep going. If you mess up, you start over again. Keep starting over. It took me 3-4 times. It's like literally, because I felt goofy at first, giving my life to the Lord. You know what I mean? And then my wife totally helped me through the whole thing. And here we are today, just straight ahead. Let's go.
And when I talk to you, all the times that I talk to you, you're so excited. I've had conversations with you and Lisa for 2 hours on the phone, and this is how we even conversate with one another, and how I watch and listen how you and Lisa communicate with one another. And it's truly godly. And I just love how Lisa lifts you up, how you raise her up. I always say what you do in the dark exposes you in the light, and you can see that you've been working on yourself, but you haven't even stopped. I mean, talk to the people and tell the people what you do when you get up in the morning. When he told me this, and he didn't tell me this to brag, he just was telling me, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I was like, wow. Tell people what you do every single day.
Yeah, so I get up first thing in the morning, whatever, do brush my teeth and all that. But then I come in, I do my readings. You know what I mean? I read Ephesians. First thing I do. Actually, I got to show you the book. It's a great book that my wife got us. So it's called, my wife got this for us over a year ago from herself, me, and Jimmy and Anthony. It's called Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. It's called Enjoying Peace in His Presence. And it's one for every day of the year, May 16th, every day. So I get up, I read that day first. Today was the 16th. I read that. Then I go right to the Bible. I read Ephesians chapter 6 every single day now for over 2 years. Ephesians, a whole chapter 6. And then I just pick a book, like I'm on the book of Mark right now, and I'll read, a couple chapters, and then I'll say my prayers. You know what I mean? I never thought in a million years I would ever be doing this stuff. So that's what makes, and it's like, I smile about it now. Like, you see my smile on my face. Like, it's pretty cool because it works, man. And I'm telling you, like you said earlier, I don't wish depression on my worst enemy, man.
Right.
It is the worst thing. I believe it's awful. It's the worst thing out there. And then once I'm done with that, I go downstairs, I make all my drinks. I've been fasting. I really don't, I don't eat anything. I try not to eat anything after dinner time, once in a while, I'll cheat a little bit here or there, but and I won't eat anything till the next day around 2 o'clock, and I'll have, a healthy shake. But I'll have all these drinks, you know what I mean, in the morning. I mean, I'll drink a ton of hydrate drinks, organic, all natural energy drink, water with lemon, organic green tea, and it's been pretty amazing.
And I mean, you said, how old are you now? 52?
52. Yep. I'll be 53 December.
Yeah.
25th.
December 25th, Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So, what's crazy is, Jim and I are both the same age. And, when I saw him, I'm like, man, you don't look 52. And, especially being an athlete, is your body now, how do you keep it in shape now where you did differently? Because you were always on the ice. So you always had cardio, right? So you always, no matter what you ate, always burned off between, practice and then game time. What are you doing now to keep yourself lean and mean?
Well, you know what? So, we got into nutrition heavily when we were 27, 28 years old. I got away from that a little bit when I first retired, and I sort of turned into a little bit of the skinny fat guy. But we've had a nutrition company for 7 years now, and that's for another show, but I just try to eat as healthy as I can. And I got into walking, so once I get up, I do my readings, I have my drinks and all that. I have an hour walk that I do. And no matter how fast or slow I go, it's an hour. And I got into it, and it's been, holy cow, months now. It's been a while now, and it's amazing. That's all I do. Plus I'm still coaching, helping out. So I'm on the ice 4 times a week. I'm the coach, but I'm one of those coaches that I basically do the drills with the kids. You know what I mean? So I'm there. I'm on the ice literally, 4 times a week. But I try to be consistent and walk every single day. Does it work out that way? No, but I average probably 5 days a week easily. And I just try to eat as healthy as I can. And my wife's amazing. She loves to cook healthy meals. And it's all walking will do wonders for you. I'm not into lifting anymore or any of that stuff, but just that's my routine. And just like anything in life, if you stick with it and be consistent, you'll see results. But the key is it's same thing is just what you put in your mind for mentally, what you put in your body.
That's right.
What you put in your body. And by just walking, and then if you do some extra, you can get in amazing shape.
Oh yeah. And
that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me in shape.
And so you said you had 2 boys, right? Yep. What year are they in college?
So Jimmy Jr. is a sophomore at Penn State playing hockey there, and Anthony is committed to Providence. He just graduated high school last year. He's in the USHL. It's the top junior league in the country with the Chicago Steel.
Right.
And then he's got 1 year there. Then he'll goes to Providence.
Wow. So listen to this, Jim. This is going to blow your mind. And I don't know if you and Lisa ever thought about this.
Yeah.
So, and I'm talking to every couple out there. I'm talking to every married couple out there. I'm talking to, people that are not husband and wife, but are engaged. Our faith is so strong in priorities. And what I mean is you're to love the Lord, you're to love your spouse, then your children, then your friends, then your pets. Why it was so important for Lisa and Jim and why they made it through the tough times is because it's called cleaving. They cleaved. Because what happens is eventually their children are going to leave the nest, right? And like his last child did, now you have an empty nest, correct?
Yep.
Right?
Correct.
Now, instead of Jim and Lisa right now learning how to get along and how to love one another and like one another, right? They don't have to do that. It's already been done, right? Because Lisa's been there helping him right? You said 2 years prior. It's not a coincidence, Jim, that 2 years ago, this was brought upon you. And then Lisa was with you. You guys worked through it together. And then now your last child leaves the nest, and now it's you and Lee. Right? And now you guys cleave together. You're not good. Look, you're still going to go through tough times, but you're not going to climb that mountain that you would have. Could you imagine if now you had to tackle that mountain? It'd be a little bit harder now, right? But now you get to enjoy one another because you guys cleaved. And cleaving is becoming one. And so that in our faith, Lisa knows, and when she sees this, yeah, she's probably.
Yeah, she knows, man. She knows. She's way ahead of me with all this stuff. But it's great. It's great because I just ask her and she gives me something to look at or watch or read, and it's awesome.
I can't wait till you see this, Lisa. You're probably gonna have tears in your eyes, but you know, God set that plan in motion, you know, for you two to go through that because you know, just in hockey, right before the breakthrough, there has to be that breakdown.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many times have you skated to where you friggin' wanted to puke?
Yeah.
Right? What was that? Herb Brooks, right? Miracle on Earth, right? He made them like they literally puke, like
again,
right? And and they were yakking, and to the point is, but what happened when it came time for them? Were they battle tested?
See, they were ready.
Yeah, and ready. And you and Lisa have been battle tested because of everything that you went through, so that when your last bird, so to speak, left the nest, you have an empty nest. Most people's marriages are destroyed when their children leave the home. You want to know why? Because they don't know how to get along. They don't know how to, they don't know how to associate with one another. They don't even know who each other is because they've gone through what you said in your childhood, going to games, going to practice, just constantly doing for the kids. And then you guys never spend time. You and Lise, the last 2 years, got to spend not only time, but really come together as a unit. And that's pretty cool. I just thought about that as you were talking about.
Yeah. No, it is amazing, you know, and that definitely helps. You know, like I said, like you said, Lisa will understand what the cleaving is. Yeah, like I'm learning every day, and I learn a ton from her. And like I said, she's been the rock. You know what I mean? And it's helped us, not this whole thing process. And actually, it's almost going on 3 years now because I'm going to be 53. But it's helped us with our son Jimmy, our son Anthony. You know, and the best part about this whole journey is, if I never got to this point when something bad used to happen, I'd be like a zombie all day. Like if I get up in the morning and something bad happened at 10 in the morning, from 10 till the rest of the day, now if something bad happens, I deal with it. I say everything's going to be all right, you know, which it's going to be all right. And you move on, and I'm ready to tackle the next thing, this and that, you know. So it's helped me in all walks of life. You know, I got so much stuff going on in the business world, you know, and I love helping kids. And my whole thing is, you know, and that's one of the main things we talked about out at the event we were at. You know, my wife and I are all about the kids, helping, not just financially, but trying to find the right group to help, or groups to help, because it really is all about the kids when you think about it. This is what the whole world is.
And it's so crazy because I'm all about kids too, obviously, and this is what I'm doing, you know. And I don't know if it's from, you know, my upbringing and always wanting to help children and always for the children, about the children. For me, bullying is, you know, you and I talked about that, you know, bullying is a big thing for me, you know, in children, because that leads to depression. Bullying is probably the biggest thing, you know, that leads to teenagers being depressed right now, because they're bullied around the clock with that social media. You know, when I was bullied, at least when I got home, that was like my safety net. Like that was my sanctuary.
Yeah.
Now they're getting it 24/7 because social media, right? Their phones, their computers. But, you know, Jim and Lisa have partnered up with me, and, you know, with Flex the Truth podcast, and it's unbelievable right now. They're doing merchandise with me. They're going to be doing my book with me. They're going to be doing my ministry with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to be for the children, you know. And so don't even know what my ministry is going to be called. It was so cool when Lisa talked about, you know, oh my gosh, I always wanted to do ministry. And I'm like, that's my end game. That is what I want to do. I was talking to Pastor Locke, who I had told you about, right? And, you know, Pastor Locke and I had this conversation, you know, last night. And, I told him, I said, my ministry is going to be different because I want to be in the street ministries, and where I want to reach the people in the street because I was a street person.
Yeah.
Born in New Jersey, lived in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a street guy. So, but the children are the ones that are going to run this world. So when we see children with masks on, when we see children, that are being forced to be in, getting the Fauci, how does that make you feel, Jim?
No, you know what? They're just kids. I mean, first of all, from what we know, from what we learned about nutrition when we were 27 and 26 years old, that's when we got into the whole, so I'll tell you the little quick story about my nutrition journey. So my whole life, we thought we were eating right, and well, people say, hey, tell me about the NHL. I go, the easy part was getting to the NHL. Like, what are you talking about? I know the easy part was getting there. I was the best in New Jersey as a kid in youth hockey. I was the best in high school. I was the best in college in the country. Then I signed pro, and then I was the best in the minor league. So I got to the NHL. I got up to the NHL, signed 2 nice contracts, won a Stanley Cup, on top of the world. Lisa and I were married, had no kids yet, and then I got sent back to the minors at 27 years old. And when you get sent back to the minors at 27 years old in Major League Baseball, the NHL, you're not getting back. I mean, there is no minor leagues in football and basketball. Yeah. So that's when we were in Hamilton, Ontario. Talk about being depressed. We're like, what just happened to us? We had all these teams from Europe calling us. We could have went over there and made great money. But I said to Lee, my wife, I said, let's give it one more year. If we don't make it back to the NHL, we're only 27 years old. We'll go over to Europe, make a bunch of money for the next 10 years. We'll be okay. So about a month and a half into that season, she found this holistic doctor, Dr. James Diadamo, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And that's when we learned all about the nutrition stuff. So, it's been an amazing journey in that sense. But what they're doing with the masks on kids and the shots and what we've learned about, vaccines in over the years, and it all leads to big pharma. I mean, as an adult, you should have your choices. The bottom line. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. That's simple as that. You know what I mean? Everyone should have a choice. That's this country was built on. Simple as that. It's no gray area. It's a black and white.
I love that. Hear what he said? Black and white. What am I wearing? Black and white.
Yes.
Specifically for this podcast, because there is no gray area. We get in trouble when we stick in that gray area, when we're afraid to choose black and white.
Yep. And there's another thing that it goes back to, like, just like when I gave it a shot with, my faith in Jesus, when we literally did this whole organic, all natural way of living, we did it 100%. We dove right in and it worked. I went from 192 pounds down to 182. I was quicker, stronger, faster. We spent the next 12 years in the NHL without a day in the minors. Wow. And I was a machine, so it works. But everybody just read both sides of things. Read as much as you can on big pharma, on the whole organic, all natural way of living, on GMOs. Just educate yourself on that. Don't take anybody's word for granted. You know what I mean? Like, you sent me a couple of videos. It's my job now. Hey, let me go do my own research. Don't take my word for it. Go do your own research. But is the bottom line. But
yeah,
nobody should be forced, especially kids, for any of that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's scientifically. I know doctors that I've talked to around here that, like, Jim, you don't realize, like, doctors that I'm friends with, the masks that they wear, they have them on for every 10 minutes. They take it off and put a new one on. People don't realize just within 10 minutes, the bacteria that's in there, that's bad for you. They literally say, and how many people, you got these people wearing these same flimsy masks for 6 months straight, but that's the thing that people don't.
They hang it right on the mirror.
Yeah, and these are doctors. Every 10 minutes they take it off and put a new one on. Yes. So we just need to educating people. You can't you got to try your best not to get frustrated or mad. And it is what it is. But that TV, I didn't realize TV either, man. Like, it's been so liberating for us. We're talking, I think, 19 straight months now. The only thing we'll watch on TV is Jimmy's games on the Big Ten Network. And when the commercial comes on, we put them on mute. We don't even listen to commercials.
You watch Flex the Truth?
Yeah. But that's not TV. This is internet. You know what I'm saying? The TV programming.
Yeah. You're so right, Jim, with the programming. Like, you and I talked about, at least, like, we've been programmed our whole entire life. We've been programmed in school. We've been coming home to a TV. We're being programmed. We're listening to music. We're being programmed. I mean, I was at a dinner the other day, and I was talking about Michael Aquino, the general for our military that was in the Church of Satan, and they were like, "What?" Like, I was like, "Oh, you don't know about General Michael Aquino?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah, Church of Satan," and I showed them. They're like, "Oh." And so I said, "Oh yeah, you know that song Hotel California?" And like, "Yeah, we know that song." I go, "That's about the Church of Satan." Yeah. And they were like they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, like the verse, like where it says you can get it, you can check in, but you can't get out." Yeah, that leave. Yeah, you can't leave, right? You never could leave. And so, but people, you know, listen to music, Jim, and don't realize what they're listening to. Look, I'm listening to something today, which I'm going to send you and Lisa. Yeah. You know, Christian music, right? Contemporary Christian music. There's a group called Skillet and Jeremy Camp. I know you and Lisa probably heard of them. Skillet is like real like heavy metal rock and stuff. And I really thought maybe they were, you know, a part of the evil world, you know. They have now talked about people that are doing Christian music, like I have discovered a long time ago, that are not Christians. Yep. That are doing completely the opposite. And Jeremy Camp's wife said, you know, it threw her faith in reverse. And she was like, I'm touring with these people like I just did. Yep. And I'm seeing ungodly things like I did. And I didn't want to be a part. And what it was doing with her, it was ripping her faith. It was questioning her faith. And it's really powerful because it just shows you that no matter where it is in the world, the devil is present. And unless, like Jim says, you put yourself in the word, the people that you surround around yourself. You know, Jim and I have had conversations about people, and he's like, what about this person? Have you heard anything about this person? And we talk, right? The things you listen to, what's coming in here. You know, I've got a person that now all they do, my brother, I told you, Jim, my brother called me the other day, and he had Christian music on. I almost was like, who am I talking to? I know you look like my brother, Matt. There's no way you're listening. And he's singing the Christian music. I'm like, this is crazy. And he goes, brother, you know, 8-9 months ago, you know, well, it's now a year because he's gonna, oh, I can't say. But anyway, they had their 1-year anniversary, and he was like, my life has changed. Same thing as you. I didn't talk to my brother for 7 months because my brother was running with the devil, tried to have an intervention with him. And, you know, I was doing a podcast and he texted me, goes, I love you. I miss talking to my bigger brother. And it was because he found God. Because he found God. And because he found God, the girl, same thing, a girl was a vessel, right? Taught him about God, brought him to church. Now he's listening to it. Now he's happier than he's ever been. And my point is, God heals all. God is a restorer. Look what he's done with you, Jim. Look what he's done with me. Look what he's done with my brother. There's so many other people out there. And I know there's people right now that are going to see this podcast. Look, I know there's Satan worshipers out there that watch my podcast. That's okay. That's okay. I like that. Because you know what? Now you're learning that there's only one true God, that there's only one true Father, you know? And how do I know that there's Satan worshipers out there? Well, because light can see the dark, just like dark can see the light, right? And so there's a reason that you're following me, and there's a reason why you're watching my podcast. And I'm sure it's not the color of my eyes, right? Because there's something that you're trying to figure out, just like Jim did.
And you got, you just got to give it a chance. One thing I forgot. So at the end of my readings every morning, I got right on my desk, I have a thing underneath my glass. The last thing I read is the 10 Commandments. And if you think about all this stuff, it just all makes sense. You just have to literally give it a chance. And
When
even if
they give it a
you
chance,
read the 10 Commandments, if you read that, how could you be anything negative about that? There's nothing negative about it, right? It all makes sense. You try to live your life the best you can by that. You're gonna make mistakes. Yeah, I mean, come on. But you just have to give it a chance because it all makes sense. And there's so many stories of people just changing their lives, without needing any pharmaceuticals or anything, which, I'm not saying they're not for me. That's all. I tried it all. And if you truly give it a chance, it can and will change your life, and your family's life and your kids.
That's the
It'll
thing.
make you
You know what I mean?
stronger.
Yeah,
It'll make you stronger. Like I said, when something bad happens, you get over it quicker and you get through it better.
you made a stand for your family, Jim.
Yeah. Yep.
You made a stand for your family because whether what was going on, like you said, whether it was inherited or whatever, you made a stand for your family and said, that's it. Abbastanza, Italian, enough. That's it. Like, that's it. No more. That's it. Same thing with me. I told you my last name, my original name is
Yeah.
And so that generational curse, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, I said, it stops right here with me. And so much, I changed my last name. That's how serious. And when I changed my last name, I was doing the devil's work. I was selling sex for a living and didn't realize that Eryx, Eryx, the name that I made up, truly obviously came from God, was a godly name. And you know what's even crazy? I just looked the other day. If you look up Eryx in mythology, this blew my mind. In mythology, Eryx was Poseidon and Aphrodite's son, who was a boxer. Who was a boxer.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
It's so crazy when God anoints you, like you're anointed, Lisa's anointed, and he puts things out there. It's up to you to be a God chaser. It's up to you to be a God chaser. You chase God. God didn't chase you.
Yeah, exactly.
You chased God. It didn't work the first time. It didn't work. How many times have you rode the bicycle, Jim?
Exactly.
How many times did you skate? How many times did you fall?
Yep.
You know what I mean? How many times did you try to skate backwards and you fell on your ass, right?
If you really want it to work, it'll work. That's
right?
the thing.
Got up.
Just keep trying. Keep trying. Keep trying.
I love the people, and Jim, you're so, your testimony is so powerful in that not only the depression and overcoming that, but how you just kept trying. It didn't work the first time. It didn't work the second time. But you could have given up. You could have said, wait, man, I tried this. It doesn't work. But you were like, no, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again. And maybe I'm not doing it the right way. Right. And then boom, something clicked.
Yep. Yeah. And it's the weirdest thing, but it's the most amazing thing as well.
Right. That's what people don't understand. It's so weird.
You can't explain it till it happens to you.
You can't. You can't explain it, but that testimonial is so powerful. For me, that day when I put my hands up in worship and heard I am who you say I am, and just that snot coming down my nose and tears. I heard that song before. I did worship before. Why did it have the effect that it did? Because I was done with resentment. I was done with guilt. I had rid myself of the temple, of all these impurities. And then that's when God hit me. When God hit me with that unconditional love, that was baby Trump. And that's why I teach people how to love one another like they've never loved before.
Yep. And that's why it's important. Like, that's why I'm psyched about my boys. You know what I mean? Because it was, they saw my boys saw things that I was doing that was, not, you know what I mean? Like, now it's like, and again, it goes back to, it's all about the kids, and the earlier we can get them on the right path, the better they're going to be. for when they come, because no matter what, I mean, you wake up every day and there's just negative stuff right in your face all day long. And there's choices all day long. And, you know, one bad Friday night or one bad weekend could change your life forever on a positive or a negative note.
That's so true. And it's decisions that you make. I always tell people 90% is how you handle something. 10% is what comes your way.
Yeah.
90%. And there's only one thing you can control. You control freaks out there. I'm talking to you. You can only control your action and your reaction. So what Jim said, something bad happens, you either dive into the word, or you get on your knees and you pray, or you go out on a drinking binge, or you go ahead and you go and get high, and God forbid you're running, Russian roulette. You don't even know what's in those drugs. That one time you could snort coke, and that could be the last time. And I'm dead serious when I say that, because it happens. It happens. It happens all the time. And talking, I don't know if you heard about yesterday, but we've got more people stepping up to the plate in Hudson City, Ohio. The mayor went to the school board.
Yep, I saw that. Yep.
Told them, either you resign now,
or you're going to court,
or I got a judge right now that is gonna file charges on you on child pornography.
Yep. I saw that whole thing.
What this school board was trying to do is the most insane thing, was that they wanted one of the electors to be child pornography. Let that seep in your head for a moment.
Yep. That was part of the curriculum. Yep.
That was going to be part of the curriculum, was going to be child pornography. So if you say, look, man, this isn't at my door right now, this isn't in my home, what are you going to wait till it is? Because once the devil's in your home, you can't get rid of him. It's very hard to get rid of the devil once he's in your home.
Yeah, you have to make radical changes. Bottom line, you have to make radical changes. When I first heard that, I'm like, oh boy, but I guess like radical changes are no TV, no music, no, it's been, and then we're waiting to see how this whole thing shakes out, to see who, the good ones are, the bad ones are. Like you said, there's a lot of Christian music that's not good.
Wow, there's a lot of pastors that I've called out that are not good, that sold out. Gene Ho is going to talk about the oath of Baphomet.
Yep.
I mean, so, that's not even coming from me. That's coming from Gene Ho, who, by the way, is running for mayor for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So another friend of mine, another speaker that I've been on tour, that met in Tulsa, is now throwing their hat in the ring, to and turn his whole life upside down, which I think is so awesome. So Jim, we usually pray at the end. We do salvation prayer, but before we go, we're going to bring you back on. We're going to talk about nutrition, because that's going to be a whole different show. I'm excited about that, I'm in Texas, and I just found out from Jim, his buddy that owns a nutrition company that he's partnered up with is literally a stone's throw away from me. Literally, like not even a mile. Like I was like, are you kidding? Like, out of all the places I could have picked where God could have put me, because Texas is huge, right? I'm literally in the guy's backyard. Like, so Jim sent me a video. I did research.
And that's a huge part of this whole thing of the whole faith journey thing is, you says right about what you put into your body, it all goes hand in hand with each other.
Yeah, because, I was talking to a lady the other night, and such a sweet, sweet lady. And, she said to me, Chris, I'm doing this program, because she's overweight and she knows it. And she said, after the program, I'm still going to need a little help. You think I could help you? And I put my arms around her. I said, absolutely. And I started showing her, food to make, you know what I mean? And that you could eat the food that you want to eat. You just got to change a couple ingredients. And when you make your own food, it's more powerful than going out and getting it because you don't know what people are putting in that food. Just like I was watching your video on the nutritional food. I'm going to blow some people's mind. Nutritional food and supplements that say about losing weight, 9 times out of 10, you're going to gain more weight and you're going to be worse off than you were. Because what they want you to do is they want you to keep buying it. So they put in ingredients that addict you and make you want to eat more and have more of it, believe it or not. In his products that I've seen, all natural, and it's geared towards your body, right? You know, we're going to save that for another show. But Jim, if you want people to get in touch with you, if there's anything, you know, obviously you're with me and Flex Through Truth, and you know, but is there anything that you want to put out there? Is there anything that you want to tell the people, your last message?
No. You know what? Just you know, I mean, we'll talk about nutrition and other things, but just if you're battling depression or if you're having a tough day, it all goes back to have faith and just give it a try. Give it a try and give it a try. And if you fail, get back up and try it again. We talked about it 2 or 3 times in the show. If you fail, get back up again. Same thing. If you're, you know, if you're starting on, you know, you're saying you're going to start your October 1st, you're going to start eating right. Well, by October 3rd, if you fail, hey, try again. And eventually it only takes a little bit of time before it's in your heart. Like it's in my mind now. If I don't get up and read first thing in the morning, you know, I'm like, I got to get that in. And then it just makes your whole day, you know, just run a heck of a lot smoother. And when you come to bumps in the road, that makes you get through them a lot smoother.
Yep. And it becomes a part of your life. And I don't know if I talked to you about this, Jim, but, you know, in my MLM, you know, 5 years ago, my mentors taught me this, and I do this every day. And like when we would go away, like to conventions, and I would purposely, so listen to this is pretty cool. All the other leaders like me, all the higher up, they would all get hotel rooms. You know what I mean? Like posh hotel room, convention center, right? Not me. I would get Airbnbs, and then I would take people, you know what I mean, into my Airbnb. That way I could nurture them. I could pour into them. I could have a, you know, a brotherhood and a sisterhood with them, right? And we could talk about what was going on at the convention back there. Well, the one thing that they heard every single morning that they'll never forget is when I got up to get ready to take a shower. And they heard this barking and this roaring from my bathroom. And it would be like, I am a beast. I am a machine. Nobody works harder than me. Nobody works harder than me in the gym. Nobody outworks me in the living room. I will have the biggest ministry in the world. This is what I said 5 years ago, Jim. I said, I will have over 1 million customers. I will change people's lives. I will make a difference. I will do Jesus's way, only his way, with his words, his will, doing his work every single day. And what it did was it brought it to me, and then I could go out and take on the world. And so if you're there and you're fighting depression, you know, like me and Jim did, if you're out there and you're having, you know, a stressful day, you know, do that self-affirmation before you know, the biggest times, Jim, where the devil gets you is when you wake up in the morning.
Yep.
And you go to bed.
Yep.
Those are the 2 times he works.
Yep. That's when he's at his best. And the one thing, you know, don't hold things inside. That's the biggest thing, guys. You know, don't hold things inside. So if people want to check this out, I'm part of an alliance. It's called We're All a Little Crazy. You know, one of my best friends in hockey, Theo Fleury's involved in it. Tons of pro athletes and people that have gone through the ringer and back. I mean, I've spoken at
Theo Fleury's definitely gone through.
Yeah, I've spoken at Penn University to all the students and student athletes, Providence. I've spoken in front of all these people. It's called We're All a Little Crazy. And it's an alliance just to help people. Like literally, don't hold things inside. You'll be amazed. It took me 48 years. You know what I mean? That's the last thing I'll end with, guys. Whoever's out there listening, don't hold things inside. Get it off your chest, whatever it is.
Yeah,
You know?
because it'll eat you up inside out.
Yep.
What
Yep.
it will do inside of you, the devil will take it and manifest it.
Yep. That's exactly what happens.
And then manifest it to drugging, to sexual addiction, to gambling,
Or
to
isolation. Isolation's a bad one.
we talked about
Isolation.
isolation.
You know what I mean? You don't want to be around anybody. And even if you're not drugging or this or that, isolation is it's right up there with it.
The devil is jealous. Do you know that? Do you know the devil is jealous? So he will isolate you.
Yep. Crazy. But yeah, man, this has been a great show, man. And again, it was great. You know, that event we met at, the prophetic event out in Pennsylvania was amazing. And, you know, Lisa says hi, sends her love. And this is great. I'm looking forward to being back on.
Yep. Oh, you'll be back on, and you got shirts, and you got another gift coming for you and Lisa. And, you know, guys, you know, we always do the salvation prayer at the end. And I feel like that, you know, this has been a very, very endearing, you know, opening or lighthearted discussion about, you know, depression and anxiety and just about God. You know what I mean? We don't want to ram God down your throat. We're not Bible thumpers. We're not like pointing the finger and waving the finger. You know, I call it waving the wand, right? We're here to raise you up, to lift you up, to love you like no other. And some of you, you know, I felt like a misfit my whole life. I felt like, you know, I didn't matter, but God is reaching out to the people that were cast aside, that people just thought didn't matter. And he's raising them up right now, people like a Jim Dowd, where they can help other people, you know, where they could sit here and reach out. And you might say, you know what, it's not for me. God's not for me. No, God's for everybody. Jesus Christ is for everybody. See,
Yep.
God gave his only begotten son. Key word in there, begotten. His only begotten son. And he brought him down to earth, and he let him get persecuted. And if you've never seen The Last Temptation of Christ, man, if you, every time, even last night I was watching a video of a guy speaking, and it had Jim Caviezel nailed to the cross as Jesus. And man, if that wasn't so surreal, and the close-up of him, it made my heart just break. And I don't know if you know this, Jim, and my listeners, I just learned this last night. Did you know the soldiers, as Jesus Christ was hanging from the cross, as beaten as he was, mutilated, do you know that the soldiers were sitting there on the ground gambling for his garment?
No, I did not know that. That's interesting.
Gambling for his garment. Why were they gambling for his garment? Here's why. They just wanted a little piece of the Lord. They just wanted a little piece of Jesus Christ. See, you can have all of Jesus Christ. See, you don't have to gamble for Jesus Christ anymore. All you have to do is just raise your hand right now. Say this prayer out loud. Maybe you've fallen away, like Jim. You know, maybe the first time didn't work. Maybe the second time didn't work. The third time, you might say, man, Chris, it's never worked. It's never worked for me. You never had Jim and Chris in your life until now. It might work now. It might be we're the two people that are the vessels to lead you to Jesus Christ. Just say this prayer with me. Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much. Thank you so much for, you know, just having grace and having mercy for me, for my sins. I know you died on the cross. I know you were persecuted and died on the cross for my sins, Lord, thank you so much. I am a sinner. I am so sorry that I am a sinner. I repent right now in front of you. I repent all my sins up until today, up until this very point. Lord Jesus Christ, I invite you into my heart, into my soul. I want you to be my only Father, my only righteous Father. Lord Jesus, I denounce Satan, and I denounce everything evil. I only want godly things in my heart and my soul and my body. Lord, if there's anything ungodly in my mind, my heart, my soul, I ask that you stricken it out right now. I only want godly things. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for dying on the cross. Thank you for your grace, for your mercy. Thank you for loving me unconditionally. I know I'm a child of God. I know I'm heaven bound. Thank you, Father. Congratulations. You just said that prayer, that simple salvation prayer. You denounce Satan. You said, well, you're all Roman Catholic, and when I was a baby, I denounced Satan. Oh, you did? Oh, so you were a talking baby? Oh, that's great. Let me get Guinness Book up right now and tell them we have a talking baby. No, you were a wet baby. That's what you were. You were a wet baby. Your godmother and godfather denounced Satan. It says in the Bible, you have to denounce Satan. And only you can denounce Satan and invite Jesus Christ into your heart. Therefore, you're the only person that can go to heaven. So guys, Jim, this has been a powerful, powerful podcast. I can't wait till the next time you're on. We'll talk about nutrition. Thank you so much, you and Lisa, and thank you for being a part of Flex to the Truth. And we're going to do so many great things together. We just started. It's almost like the train is just starting.
Or stop.
Yeah. And I think that, God is just going to put the right people in place for us and the right opportunities. This is just the beginning. And guys, remember, flex your mind, flex your muscles, flex your truth. Once you do that, like Jim does every single morning when he wakes up, or when something goes sideways in his life, guess what? Now you're aligned with God. As long as you're aligned with God, you can go out and align others up with God as well, and being a vessel, speaking his word, doing his will, his way, but most importantly, with his words. Guys, bless up. Jim, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Love you, brother.
Bye. Love you, brother.